Now, that story by my colleague Muremi Mwangi leads us to a discussion this morning with Murang'a Senator, that is Irungu Kang'ata. And it's just barely 3 years to the next general election that is expected to be held in 2022. We've seen a lot of political mixed reaction in the Mount Kenya region, with a section of political leaders from the region calling themselves a Tanga, while another group known as the Kieleweke team, trying to have different political views when it comes to Deputy President William Ruto's presidential bid for 2022. This also saw nominated Member of Parliament Maina Kamanda and Kiharu Member of Parliament Ndindi Nyoro have, an exchange during a fundraiser in a church, which has also raised a lot of political questions. So now let's speak to Murang'a Senator Irungu Kang'ata, who's now joining us from Parliament. And Honorable Kang'ata, let me just begin this conversation first by, getting to know your stand when it comes to what's happening in the Mount Kenya region.
Thank you. First, it's quite unfortunate what is happening in our region, because now we are having a major infighting amongst leaders. I'm fearful that may as well percolate to the grassroots and therefore cause disharmony, discord among the people of Central Kenya.
And so, Honorable Irungu, it's good you see you've also raised concern about what's happening. And the truth is, and it's also there out, and Kenyans know that you are also the lawyer of, Honorable Ndindi Nyoro after what happened on Sunday.
Yes, indeed. Let me say that I did not go there to assist Didi on the basis that we belong to the same political outfit of Tanga. For me, I do not want to associate myself with any of those grouping. I went there strictly because he's my personal friend. I have known Dede for a very long time, since when we were young people. Secondly, he also happened to have been my CDF chairman from the year 2013, and also my chairman of my political campaign in 2013 when I was vying to become a member of parliament for Kiharu. I'm also quite happy with the kind of work that he's doing. He's ensuring our legacy is continuing. When I was a member of parliament, there were several projects that I initiated, which include tarmacking of various roads. All those issues, I can see he has ensured that legacy is being maintained. And of course, I also saw an element of unfairness in his arrests, because whatever he's purported to have done, I'm not so sure whether it was supported by any evidence. I also saw an element of discrimination. There are other members of parliament who belongs to other factions who are said to have done what is alleged to have done on Sunday, but nothing has been done to them. So for me, I went there as a friend and also as a lawyer to ensure his rights are vindicated. But that does not mean I belong to his political persuasions.
Kang'ata, allow me to cut you short. So are you in agreement with some of the allegations that have been leveled, especially by politicians that we had, speak yesterday? We brought that live, transmission for our viewers. Well, some of the political leaders, let's talk about Ndindi Nyoro, and, talking about some of these politicians, him included, saying that they're being targeted for supporting Deputy President William Ruto's bid for 2022. Are you in agreement with what you're saying? Because you're also questioning the reason as to why he was arrested.
Thank you for that question, but allow me to reserve my comments on it. I have no opinion on it. As a lawyer, at times you have to disentangle yourself with propositions by your client. Those are his personal views. I strongly believe they ought to be respected, because he's a Kenyan who deserves to express his opinion. Those are rights which are enshrined under our constitution: freedom of expression. Article 30 talks of political rights, the freedom to choose whichever political formation you want to join in. But as to asking me to comment on the contents of those arguments, I think it's unfair for me as a lawyer.
Ngata, do you agree that the political division we are seeing right now in Mount Kenya region, it's because of the 2022 politics? Because President Uhuru Kenyatta has remained adamant that political leaders need to focus on development agenda, especially the Big Four agenda.
Yeah, let me say I do associate myself with the sentiments of His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta Of course, I understand his dilemma that he is now doing his final term. He needs to ensure his legacy is cemented in this country. He himself is a beneficiary of the good work that his father did for this country. So I'm sure behind his mind, he also wants to ensure he has a good legacy, to ensure his family name is protected, to ensure that also he does leave this country a better place than he did when he became a president for this country. So to that extent, I really understand where he is coming from. And personally, from a point of view, I do support his endeavors. And that is why I have dissociated myself in any political formation, whether Kieleweke or Tanga Tanga. I associate myself with propositions that we need to engage ourselves more into productive things, that is making laws, representing people in parliament, oversighting counties, as opposed to a situation where we are just politicking from A to Z. Be that as it may, it goes without saying that there are those who are strategizing for 2022, they are campaigning, they are mobilizing. So, of course, you also understand they also have their own vested interest as to why they join politics. So what is happening in Central, it is true, is quite conjoined with endeavor for people to become presidents in 2022. There's no doubt about it.
All right, but my question is then that means you agree with my question that the political division you're facing right now is because of the Deputy President William Ruto's, bid for 2022, then which begs the question, why now? Because you're just 3 years to the general election. The focus should be on matters development. Because Sunday never had anything to do with development. What we have seen, in the several months ago, what's been happening in the central region, it's nothing to do with development. It's about politics day in, day out, and that is not what Wanjiku wants.
Yes, of course, there are questions that have emerged as to whether this region will support the Deputy President. There are some leaders who appears to say no, but also I know of so many other leaders who say yes. And I've also heard those sentiments on the ground where there is a major debate concerning the political direction of our region. And there's also the aspect of the role that is going to be played by Murang'a County come 2022. Murang'a County happens to be the second largest constituency, it's the second largest county in terms of population after Kiambu. I mean in the entire Kikuyu nation, including Meru and Embu. So therefore everyone who wants to become a president or to get Mount Kenya block has to come to Murang'a. There's also the aspect of the economic and also political influence of Murang'a County. It has major business people who come from my county. Even when you look at art, Murang'a County dominates other counties when it comes to Kikuyu art scenario. So in short, I think all politicians have done a calculation. They have realized the potency, the political significance of Murang'a County. That is where you are finding a lot of politics in Murang'a County. And somehow there are also historical reasons. You remember when Michuki said that he foresees political direction of the Kikuyu nation will follow Uhuru. It came to pass. Remember, Matiba fought very strongly against Moi regime and paved way for multi-party politics together with my friend Charles Rubia. It came to pass. So I think politicians, all those who want to become president, they have done some analysis. They have realized the political significance of Murang'a County, so everyone is coming to fight for Murang'a County. Finally, and quite importantly, it has also been realized Kikuyu nation do not have a presumptive political leader. That is quite strange. Since multipartyism was reintroduced, we never had a situation where there appears to be like a political lacuna going forward. I say so because in the year 1992, we had Matiba and Kibaki. In the year 2007, we had a person called Kibaki. 2002, we had Uhuru and Kibaki. 2007, we had Kibaki, but with Uhuru standing on the wings. And then, of course, for the last 2 general elections, we had Uhuru. So now the questions, which I'm imagining both the people of Central Kenya and also other political leaders are asking themselves, who is going to become the next presumptive political leader?
All right, and Honorable Kangata is actually getting there. So is this a plot by some leaders, some political leaders from the Mount Kenya region, to be the next kingpin in that region after President Uhuru Kenyatta?
Yes, of course, and for me there, I don't see any problem because everyone has to pursue his own political interests. So there's a lot of positioning, there is a lot of jostling for space, and for me that is expected, it is rational that everyone wants to go for the top, and therefore he must come up with all political designs to reach there. And there, for me, that is quite expected in a situation where there is some vacuum. They say nature dislikes vacuum. So it is every likelihood that is what is happening in our region. But of course, there's a problem to that, in the sense that now that may cause economic underdevelopment.
All right, and Honorable Kangata, then it goes back, you agree with what I'd said earlier, that this political talks that we're seeing left, right, and center every week, every weekend, is actually hindering, what the president says, his Big Four agenda, development for the country. He wants to leave a good legacy. But let's go back to my question, which I'd earlier asked you, which you really didn't want to comment about, but I'd really like to get your sentiments on my question, and I'd like to ask you, Honorable Kangata, then what is the way forward? Because, we can't have this politics every day at the expense of development, and the allegations that there's some government officials who are out to silence people, political leaders from the region who are allegedly supporting the deputy president's presidential bid for 2022. So do you agree with their sentiments that there's some government officials who are using state machinery to silence them?
For me, as a lawyer, I cannot make statements which are general, which are not founded on any evidence. And for me, therefore, surely I can't comment that. I have no evidence to support such kind of a conclusion. So for me, I just stick to what I know as a matter of fact, which is this, that there's a lot of jostling in our region. Everyone wants to become the top, and that may continue. I do not know up to when. And I agree also, it's quite unfortunate. But on the other hand, even as we continue telling leaders to tone their work, to ensure they don't fight, we must also respect their rights. And that is why I came to assist my friend. And I want to repeat it here. Dende remains my personal friend, notwithstanding his political persuasion. I will defend him whenever he wants me to defend him, because he's my personal friend.
All right.
It is in times of crisis that you get to know your personal friends.
All right. And as we bring this conversation to an end, Honorable Kangata, then who do you think will be the next kingpin after President Uhuru Kenyatta's term comes to an end?
I do not know, and so far it's not clear who is going to become the next kingpin. I think so far no one has emerged as having that ability to bring together the people of Central Kenya. So therefore the lacuna remains. Maybe President Uhuru Kenyatta will show us direction, maybe that may be positive. Maybe some phenomenon, a natural phenomenon may occur, which then gives direction to our people. So we have to await. But of course, and I want to repeat, I would prefer such kind of a kingpin to emerge from Murang'a County. Of course, I am from Murang'a County, so I have to push the interest of the people of Murang'a County. So if a person was to emerge, it makes sense that person ought to come from Murang'a County. I would be very glad if I was to see a kingpin from my county.
All right. Thank you so much. Murang'a Senator, that is Irungu Kangata, who's also the lawyer for Kiharu Member of Parliament and Ndindi Nyoro, when it comes to that case that is facing right now. And still on that, Mount Kenya politics. Let's now link up with my colleague Ibrahim Karanja, who's in Nyeri County, just to tell us what residents of Nyeri County are saying. Ibrahim Karanja, good morning. What are residents of Nyeri County saying when it comes to this political division that the country is right now witnessing in Mount Kenya region?
Good morning, Brenda. Speaking to residents of Nyeri County and the larger Mount Kenya region, and picking up the comments they are having on social media, one could easily be forgiven for stating that Mount Kenya, had it have a life, would currently be looking down upon the counties that surround it and share it here. Share it here because of the very different political factions that have cropped up in this particular region.
All right, I need to apologize for that technical hitch you're experiencing right there with my colleague Ibrahim Karanja, but we're just trying to rectify the technical hitch you're having so that we can be able to hear what residents of Nyeri County have to say when it comes to that Mount Kenya politics, the political divisions you're witnessing right there owing to, the run-up to the 2022 presidential elections. But let me just recap our Twitter question this morning. Matter still on politics. Kibra parliamentary by-election that has been scheduled for the November 7th. And so far, it is a developing story. We've seen the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, say that MacDonald Marigi is not a registered candidate. So he was not cleared yesterday. And yesterday was the deadline for